The last signal. Hundreds of years had passed since the fall, the day the skies turned black, the seas boiled, and the surface of Earth became nothing but a wasteland of ash and ruin. Humanity, what little of it remained, had burrowed deep underground to survive. Generation after generation was born in the darkness, growing up with stories of a world above that was long dead. The surface was poison. The surface was silence. At least, that's what everyone believed. Jared never really believed in stories. At 23, he worked as a maintenance technician in one of the deepest sectors of the underground colony, fixing old circuits and keeping the ancient life support machines humming. It was a quiet, predictable life, but not the kind of life that made his heart race. Sometimes, when his shift was over, he would sneak into the abandoned, listening stations from centuries past, relics of a time when humanity still bothered to listen to the sky. Most nights, all he heard was static. But one night, everything changed. The signal came just after midnight. A faint whisper cut through the noise, like a ghost in the wires. Jared froze when he heard it. Not a random burst of radiation or the crackle of dead air, but something deliberate. A rhythm, a pattern. It was weak and distorted, but unmistakable, a human voice. Is anyone there? Jared's chest tightened. His fingers trembled as he adjusted the knobs, trying to sharpen the frequency. But the voice faded, replaced again by static. He stared at the panel, heart pounding in his ears. It couldn't be. The surface was supposed to be dead. And yet, someone, or something, had just called out from above. That was the moment Jared knew. Whatever waited for him on the surface, whatever danger or truth lay beyond the tunnels, he had to find it. He had to follow the signal. The next day, he sought out the only two people he trusted enough to tell. There was May, a medic from the infirmary, sharp and fearless, who'd patched Jared up more times than he cared to count after his reckless adventures in the maintenance shafts. And there was Elias, the quiet, wiry son of a cartographer who'd memorized more of the tunnels and collapsed corridors than anyone else underground. Both of them knew Jared's obsession with the old world. Neither of them looked particularly surprised when he told them what he'd heard. May crossed her arms, studying him with her usual skeptical glare. Even if you're not crazy, which is debatable, what makes you think the signal isn't just some kind of trap? Nobody who goes to the surface comes back. Jared, nobody? Elias only said, where did it come from? Jared unfolded a crumpled map and jabbed his finger at a faded point near the northern edge of the colony's reach. Sector 12, close to the old access shafts. I triangulated it as best I could. Elias traced the line on the map with a frown. That far out. Those tunnels haven't been used in generations. And you're talking about a climb to the surface from there. No lights, no support. We're not equipped for that kind of trip. But Jared only shook his head, his voice steady. We'll find a way. If someone's alive up there, if the surface isn't what we've been told. Don't you want to know? Don't you want to see it? The three of them stood in silence for a long moment. The map between them, the faint hum of machinery all around. Finally, May let out a long sigh and muttered, God help me. Fine, I'm in. But when we die choking on toxic air, I'm blaming you. Elias gave a faint, wry smile. I've always wanted to see the stars. And just like that, it was decided. That night, under the cover of darkness, they packed their gear, stolen filters, old climbing ropes, portable lamps, and slipped out past the guards. The tunnels loomed ahead of them, vast and black and full of secrets. Somewhere far above, past miles of stone and centuries of fear, A voice was waiting for them, and Jared intended to answer it. The first few miles were easy. The lower tunnels still bore the marks of civilization, rusted rail lines, faded safety signs, the faint glow of maintenance lights that buzzed weakly overhead. But as they pressed deeper into Sector 12, the world around them began to change. The air grew colder, the lights grew fewer. Soon, the walls were nothing but jagged stone, the corridors nothing but black. They stopped only once to rest, huddled in the shelter of a collapsed service bay. May checked the filters on their masks, her brow furrowed. We're burning through these faster than I like. If the air up there's half as bad as they say, we won't last long. Jared looked at her, his jaw tight. It won't be. When they finally reached the old service shaft, even Elias hesitated. It was a gaping black maw in the rock, ringed with the skeletal remains of ladders and ancient support beams. The air coming from it was sharp and cold, carrying a faint scent Jared didn't recognize, something dry, metallic. "This is it," Elias said quietly. Jared nodded, gripping the first rung of the ladder. His hand shook, not from fear, but from something stranger, anticipation. The climb was brutal. Rust flaked off the ladder with every step, stinging their eyes. Pieces of the shaft wall broke free as they climbed, tumbling down into darkness. Once, May's foot slipped, and Jared caught her just in time. Higher and higher they went, their lamps revealing glimpses of strange things embedded in the walls, old cables, twisted bits of metal, shattered bones. And then, after what felt like hours, they saw it. A faint glow above, pale and cold, unlike any light Jared had ever seen underground. The hatch groaned in protest as Jared turned the wheel. Then, with the final heave, he pushed it open. Light flooded in. Blinding, alien, beautiful. The sky stretched endlessly in every direction, vast and deep, painted in hues of pale gold and grey. The sun, a brilliant white disk, hung low on the horizon, its light filtering through layers of thin, wispy clouds. The air was cold on his skin, sharp in his lungs. But it wasn't the toxic fire they'd been taught to fear. May stepped forward, pulling off her mask. She inhaled, then smiled. "It's breathable." Jared tugged off his own mask and breathed deeply. The surface was desolate, but not dead. Not entirely. And then he heard it again. Faint, carried on the wind, almost drowned by the vast quiet around them. A crackle of static, then a single word. "Hello." The voice was coming from the north. Jared's blood ran cold, but his resolve only grew stronger. He turned to May and Elias, his voice quiet but certain. "It's close. Whoever sent that signal. They're out here." Without another word, the three of them set off across the barren plain, their figures small against the endless sky. Above them, the clouds rolled in, and the first flakes of ash, or perhaps snow, began to fall. The surface was alive, and it was waiting.